Croeso and welcome to this Governor Professional Learning session covering schools' complaints procedures. My name is Mike Fisher, and I'm a Service Area Lead within the EAS, overseeing resources and governance. This session should last between 30 and 40 minutes, and at the end we'll give you the opportunity to complete an evaluation form to give us feedback and register your attendance. So let's make a start. The session aims are, by the end of this session, you should have a greater understanding of the legal requirements for handling complaints within schools, have an overview of the Welsh Government guidance, which were redrafted in December 2022, be aware of the changes within the new guidance, be aware of the different roles and responsibilities of all parties concerned with the complaint, see the school-based procedures and the three-stage approach, and look at Stage C committee role. The legal framework covering complaints is through Section 29 of the Education Act 2002, in which schools are required to establish a complaints process which needs to be recorded and adopted within the school's governing body minutes. Schools also need to publish that process, for example, via their website. The Welsh Government Schools Procedures guidance, published on the 1st of December 22, give guidance on complaint procedures. It can be seen to the right of the slide, and links will be provided later on in the presentation. Also, Estyn, under their inspection framework, will under Inspection Area 5, examine if complaints are handled effectively and reported to the governing body. Let's look at the Welsh Government guidance, December 22, on complaints in schools. New guidance was issued from Welsh Government in December 22 following an all Wales review of the old measures. What has changed in the new guidance? Well, if we're honest about it, not much in all honesty, but there are no references to Governor Wales. There's a new section dealing with complaints about bullying. There's a new statement about zero tolerance for bullying and harassment, which is included in the new policy. New policies will need to be written and adopted by schools to include these aspects. Additional guidance in the event of independent investigations and complaints about the whole governing body is also included. So, what is a complaint? Welsh Government definition is an expression of dissatisfaction in relation to the school, a governor, or a member of its staff that requires a response from the school. All schools should be committed to dealing effectively with complaints and ensure the person complaining is dealt with fairly and confidentially, and governors, in order to do this, governors should follow the school complaints procedure, usually based on a local authority or Welsh Government procedures. Note the changes in the previous slide on bullying, etc. Governors need to refer the complainant to the school head teacher or teacher for clarification, or ask the school for the complaints policy procedures. This avoids governors becoming involved in the complaint and procedures themselves and precluding their involvement in future processes. If the head teacher is the subject of the complaint, then the complaint needs to be referred to the chair of governors. Governors should be available to take a role in committee at Stage C to consider a complaint. Again, it's very important that governors must not become involved with individual complaints and should allow the complaints procedures to deal with complaints. So what is not a complaint? If a complaint raises issues about staff capability, staff grievance, staff disciplinary, child protection or safeguarding, Then the complaints procedures must not proceed, and action must be taken under alternative procedures, and those procedures take precedence. These procedures or policies are usually local authority or HR policies or other policies which the school may have adopted. In addition, separate procedures exist for complaints relating to school admissions, pupil exclusions, AIN provision, school organisational proposals, and delivery of the curriculum. Again, usually these are policies and held within the local authority. What are the principles of a complaints procedure? They must be fair to all parties, handled openly and without bias. All complaints should remain confidential. Any meetings should be as far as practicable, be at reasonable times and normally on school grounds. All meetings and any investigations should be carried out in a timely manner. Delays can cause irritation to all parties concerned. Accurate records should be maintained at all stages of the process of the complaint. There are certain expectations on the complainant themselves in terms of their behaviour and expectations from the process. The subject or subjects of the complaint have a right to know at the appropriate stage in the process, usually as part of the investigation process. So, what are the roles and responsibilities of the local authority and the Education Achievement Service, or EAS, Government Support Team? The local authority has no statutory role in resolving complaints, as that remains with the governing body through its complaints policy. However, the local authority has to ensure that all its schools have adequate complaints procedures in place and that they are implemented appropriately and publicised to all stakeholders. The local authority may become involved to agree an independent hearing of a complaint where it feels procedures are inoperative or has doubts on any independence of the process. The local authority may also use its powers of intervention if it sees that the governance of the school is inadequate or acting inappropriately. The Education Achievement Service, or EAS, Government Support Team is here to support the processes. And at stages A and B is available to offer advice and guidance on procedures. At stage C is available to convene and clerk the meetings, subject to the level of the service level agreement purchased by the school. The three-stage procedure looking at complaints. The model complaints procedure has a three-stage process, A, B, and C, which are described below. Stage A is an informal stage where most cases can be settled quickly. The complainant discusses with the class teacher or head of year the area of the complaint. Complainant holds a possible informal discussion with the head teacher to raise concerns and look for a possible solution. Stage B is the first formal stage of the process, generally follows where the matter cannot be resolved or settled at stage A. The complaint should be directed to the head teacher or the chair of governors if it involves the head teacher themselves. Stage B may require independent investigation in certain circumstances. The final stage is stage C. These should be rare, as hopefully issues can be resolved at stages A or B. This stage will involve the complaints committee or complaints panel of the school being convened to hear the complaint. Again, this may require an independent complaints panel or committee in certain circumstances. This slide shows a diagram or flowchart of the three-stage approach and is a good guide to the processes throughout. Please take your time to look at this slide and to take a look at it in more detail if you wish. We won't go through it in detail, talk through it as a slide, but it's there for information and is generally covered in all the other slides of the presentation. So let's look at each stage in a little more detail. Stage A, as already mentioned, is an informal stage. The complaint can be oral or in writing to the school, usually within 10 days of the incident. Confidentiality should be adhered to at all times, and the matter should follow the complaints process or policy. Any governor approached should signpost the complainant to the school for their policy. The school should respond usually within 10 school days. Regarding policy deadlines, if a school is not able to meet the timescales, there should be an effective communication with all regarding the delay to avoid any escalation of the process. The complaint cannot be related to the head teacher, as this process starts at stage B with the chair of governors. School record keeping must be clear about the nature of the complaint. As we've said before, most complaints can be settled quickly by speaking to a member of school staff. Stage B is the first formal stage, so who's involved? If stage A has not resolved the complaint or the issue, the complainant writes formally to the head teacher outlining the complaint. The complainant should be encouraged to use the pro forma included within the policy itself. The complainant should be encouraged to outline the resolution they are seeking, as this can help the thinking in school deliberations. It's important if the complaint raises concerns against the head teacher, stage B should be actioned by the chair of governors and not the head teacher or any school staff. So the process involved at stage B is to acknowledge formal receipt of the complaint, outlining approximate timescales to be followed for an investigation. The investigation then should commence. This usually involves arranging a meeting with the complainant. At that meeting, they may bring a companion for support only. The head teacher or the chair of governors could arrange for a member of staff at the school or a governor for chair only as a note taker. At the investigation stage or stage B, any relevant documentation or policies should be received from the school or complainant to support the investigation. Again, there may be a need to arrange to meet any witnesses or third parties that are brought into the process. Finally, there'll be a compilation of findings. The EAS has an example stage B report available on our website, or you can obtain it directly from us. And then following the findings and compilation of the report, there's the production of a stage B outcome letter to include the right to appeal. Again, the EAS has model letters available. The stage C committee or panel. Stage C is generally when a complaints committee meeting or panel is set up or convened. The chair of governors or head teacher will have received a request in writing to progress to stage C within 5 school days of the complainant receiving a stage B outcome letter. If the school has purchased the governor support SLA, service level agreement at option 2, and is currently in place, the chair of governors or head teacher will need to contact statutory committees at South East Wales eas.org.uk requesting support to convene the panel or committee meeting. If the governing body has not purchased the appropriate SLA option, a purchase order can be raised by the school if support is required and the team is available to convene the panel. Part of this process involves a clerk being assigned to any meeting, and the team will arrange a suitable time and venue and liaise with committee members, the complainant and school representatives to attend the meeting or the panel. The meeting should normally proceed within 15 school working days of the request. At stage C, the suggested procedural guidelines are: the complainant explains their concerns, and at this stage it's always best to try and ensure their preferred resolution is identified. The panel have the opportunity to ask questions. The panel must ensure that the complainant has fair opportunity to explain their complaint. The head teacher or the chair of governors or the investigator outline their findings together with the outcome of stage B. Both parties will leave the meeting, and only panel members and the clerk remain for the decision-making process. At the meeting, both school and complainant can call appropriate witnesses. Only the panel can ask questions. During the meeting, there is no cross-examination during the meeting. There is more detail within the guidance on procedural content. The basics have been covered here. Stage C decision-making. At the stage C meeting, the panel meeting may decide based on the facts presented to it. It can uphold the complaint. It can partly uphold elements of the complaint if it's multifaceted, or decide not to uphold the complaint. The decision may be communicated at the end of the meeting, or more usually in writing within 10 school days. The panel may make recommendations to the school following review of the complaint. The decision of the panel is final. There is no appeal stage beyond stage C to the school. However, a complainant may contact the local authority, Welsh Government or the Children's Commissioner to review due process has been followed and instruct the governing body accordingly if necessary. There are certain expectations of the complainant themselves. They should allow the school to try and resolve the complaint at each stage of the process. They must not try to circumvent the stages of the process and follow the policy. And they should cooperate with the school in providing information for the investigation. In addition, they should also make themselves reasonably available throughout the process and for any subsequent committee panel meeting at stage C. Further additional support and guidance and information can be found on the sites contained within this slide. Welsh governments have policies and documents which give governors an insight to the guide to the law on governing bodies in Wales, and as we've already seen, publishes its school complaints procedures guidance online as well. The Education Achievement Service also has its own website. This can be found at the button at the end of each email you receive from Governor Support, and the website holds the documents referred to above. Also holds standard documentation used by the EAS for complaints. The site also has frequently asked questions on it. It also holds the training materials used in these sessions and available on the site in English and Welsh. We've included the Governor Support Team email address here, governorsupport@sewaleseas.org.uk, and any questions or clarity you may seek from the presentation can be addressed to this email account, and we'll get straight back to you. Local authorities also have their own websites, but any information that they hold relevant could be hard to find. But some of the local authority websites do contain information regarding complaints and how they handle complaints internally. If you have any questions or queries about the complaints process or anything else to do with government support or any statutory processes, then please try and attend one of our drop-in sessions which are mailed out to you in the professional learning calendar on each one of your governing body meeting agendas. Or alternatively, you can email us at governor support or statutory committees. Both the email addresses are contained within the slide. Please take a note of them, and if you have any queries, please email into any of those accounts or look on our website. That's the end of the session, and thank you for your attendance and looking at the material. If you can, please fill out the evaluation form from the link below, which will enable you to give us feedback and record your attendance at this session. Diolch, and thank you for your attendance.